everybody, this is TCG Bell here. I just thought I would go over my new deck that I've finished updating. I do have a number of games in this here and now, as well as previous versions of the deck, such as the one that Aggro played and then another one. Um, yeah, so we'll just go over it, the choices. CNC Knee Strike should be self-explanatory. They're staples, just generically good cards. Red Hiss, go again. This is a deck that likes to keep a full hand, and if you're not keeping a full hand, Hiss is usually a good block. But if you get the chain disruption and then draw a Hiss, it's really good to just be able to send another attack. Nick can be clunky, but we are playing enough one-cost attacks to try and make it worth it. Did run it through the geometric calculator. About 15 should be enough for this to be worth arsenaling, but if not, it's just a good block free anyway. If you get it with Desires of Flesh or Bonds of Agony, Bonds of Attraction, Bonds of Agony, you get a lot of life off of it, and otherwise it's pushing for a good on hit by turning your 1 card 1 into a 2 card 6, so on route with CNC with good on hits. Leaving No Witnesses, staple of Assassin, same with Surgical Extraction. Obviously Surgical is actually a bit more useful in this deck than other Assassins. I quite you usually go dagger with Mistblade if it hits Surgical and something else, or you can dagger if they block. You then send Spider Bites, and then you can send this. There's a lot more hands where this is usable over when I was playing Azuri and stuff. I haven't played a lot of Azuri, but I always find myself using this more than I did in her. Venomous Bite is like Hiss, but is a 1 for 4, which is a really good rate for attack react. Usually helps you go over the breakpoints. I usually like to think the actual breakpoints is 5, because D-reacts stopping the No Witnesses or Surgical. So anything that puts you, and that puts our 1 cost attacks over the 5. So I quite like it, but only really in red is it on rate. Codex of Frailty, another really strong assassin staple. Yeah, recurring anything is just kind of broken, and a Frailty and a Ponder. Card is stupid. I will forever hate Outsiders for what it did to Lexi, and this card is mostly responsible. Onto our blues now. The deck, as I said, is mostly blues. Bonds of Agony, great on hit. Just forces basically all their cards, and if it doesn't force all the cards, it's usually going to hit. Because they always seem to forget it gets the +3 of it on its own. So if they don't give you free cards plus, you're usually hitting. If you're playing this right anyway. And sometimes you can just bait them into giving you free cards and then breaking your boots or doing Hiss to just give go again. And then for another on hit afterwards, which is just really good. Bonds of Attraction, banishing cards from grave that they might use to block or swing at you. This is really good into Guardians, because they don't care about that 1 damage, and you need to get rid of their 8 attack blues in, which they obviously don't want to block with because they don't want you using them. Same with Desires of Flesh, just a good 1 cost. I was playing Double Trouble before, but it seems to be agreed that Desires of Flesh is better. Just gains you life in most situations. Free Infect. It's a blue that acts as a red a lot of the time because it has that extra on hit 2 damage. while being that blue for activating our transcend cards or pitching. You could probably, if depending on the meta, you could probably cut this for any of the disease cards. Before I was playing Frailty in here. And Persuasive Prognosis is just really solid, really easy on hit to threaten. After that, we have the actual Transcend cards in Homage, Passover, Pathwell Traversed, Reserve Tradition, Rising Sun, Setting Moon, and the Grain that Tips the Scale. These ones just seemed the best. There's not really much in them. This is... I actually, like, Pathwell Travelled and Homage to Ancestors are actually like the two best ones I usually find. And maybe Passover banishing a card, but these three are like the best. The one attack very rarely comes up. The draw very rarely comes up. And Preserve Tradition comes up in like very, very slow matches like Fatigue Dash. Though I say that, the last Fatigue Dash I fought, I ended up fatiguing them on 30 cards to their like 4. So it's not that big a deal. You could probably swap this for the -1 attack one if you wanted. But yeah, they're all fine. And then Undercut Desires is obviously a really strong power turn, as I showed in that combo video. It just like unlocks a whole lot extra. Yeah, that's what we play main board. This is basically what goes into every matchup. We have a sideboard here. Cards that pretty much go in every single matchup is the Art of Desire Bodies, the 2 Looking for Scrap, Art of Desire Mind, Levels of Enlightenment, and the Blue Hiss, but it is dependent. So, like, obviously the Art of Desire Mind can't really go in against decks that don't play blues, and the same for the reds. Looking for a Scrap basically always goes in. Should probably just be main board. Razor's Edge basically always goes in as long as you have enough, as long as you bring in enough stealth cards to trigger it. Blue Hiss and Levels of Enlightenment, they only come out against the mirror. And Pick to Pieces as actually really only goes in against Enigma. And honestly, I'm thinking of cutting this because I'm not finding Enigma that bad, but I'm keeping it in because everyone else is saying it's an awful matchup. So maybe the one time out of 100 where the Enigma's highly rolling me to no end, I'm going to need this to get out of it. Siren's Call, really good 2 of. I wouldn't play more than 2 because it, like when it misses, it's really bad. And it can feel really clunky to play sometimes because it doesn't actually get you over anything and it doesn't give go again, so sometimes that extra card is useless. Yeah, we'll go over the results I have here. So, average win rate of 84%. You can see it's a lot of green, not a lot of red. I had time to play like 100 games, like I know some people have. But I've been trying my best to play regularly. Turns and wins is higher than my turns and losses, which usually indicates that your losses are more to high rolls. Losses are more to variance than, like, yeah, your losses are more to variance than your wins are to skill by having lower turn in losses usually. You can see the most played cards. The most played card, Persuasive Prognosis. Card is really easy to play and just always demands respect. We have a lot of different matchups here. Obviously, like Enigma and Zen and Nuu have a lot of games because everyone wants to play them at the moment. Kano has been terrible to play against, but I think that's more my fault because I just don't like that. I don't know what to do against that hero. But yeah, like, this was a fatigue dash. Dash IO, you fatigue instantly, like, you can block out so easily. During Axe, these two were both Axe Dorinfias. The loss was actually pretty fast. That was like a high roll. They saw all three like the Axe dominating card and such, and kept attack reacting over. And then the this one was a rematch that had a lot of. I learned a lot from the first game and was able to pick out the cards that really slow them down, and they didn't see all three. They didn't see like all three really quickly of like their power cards. They saved a lot till the end of the game, and I was able to not let them snowball so fast. As I said, I don't find Enigma that hard. Of the two illusionists, I actually find Prism way more scarier. Enigma, if you, I have my old deck as well. This will be this will be messed up because this was made public by aggro. But even here, you can see that we have a positive win rate into Enigma, so that's really good. This was played on Aggro Blaze's channel, and they put it in the description, so it's public and has obviously a lot more games now. But it's a very old list. It's not quite. It's nowhere near as good as the current one. So yeah, I don't think Enigma's that big a worry at the moment. I'm sure if I was to fight an Enigma like Pheno Black, I'd just get destroyed. But as of right now, I don't find it that scary. Kasai is just worse story, so that was fine. KO, I found this matchup really hard in the beginning, but like cards like Inertia Trap really hurt him, and I just learned how to play against him, when to block and such. And yeah, I got the hang of it, and it's probably 60-40 us, I think. New Mirror, done pretty well in. For reference, just make sure you take out Levels of Enlightenment, because the amount of games that have won off of just chaining like 3 of these together against the new who played them, and I got them banished. Like, yeah, most of the wins in all the decks are from that. I think it'd be a lot harder if they took them out. Prism is the much scarier illusionist. If they flip Vestige of Soul and know what they're doing, they are going to 100% combo you, because you are not going to get the kill out that fast. All their heralds swing for 7 or 6 or 5, all with on hits, and they get to swing like 2 a turn. So you have to let them hit in order to like get your disruption game plan working. But if you let them hit, they get ward like Enigma, but they also get another bonus on hit. They get on hit of the Herald. It's just a lot. So I personally find Prism way harder than Enigma. Reinar, just worse. KO. I have played against Levias, I guess not on this one, maybe on one of the older ones. Levia's pretty simple because they play a lot of really good blues, and they hit self-banish and you're not letting them fill up their grave. So I think that matchup's quite favoured for us as well. We do quite well into the Brute, and if Brute's going to stay meta, that's pretty good for us. Victor, you've seen before we do the combo game plan into them, and even though we're not playing the flick knives and traversing this to get the triple go again, it's still a 1 card 16 a lot of the time. So yeah, it's still very much us favoured. And then Zen, again, this was like if I remember correctly, they dealt 34 damage in a single turn on the game I lost. The other two, you disrupted them, and a lot of them just insta concede because Tash are filled with babies who do not like to play. But yeah, if I know a lot of people were more interested in my combo build of the video I posted previously against Victor. If you really still want to play that, and want to do the 0 card, like 15 or 16 plus into Brutes and Guardians, you cut like Hiss and Razor's Edge to put Flick Knives and Traverse back in. Uh, Even if you just want to put Flick Knives back in, that's understandable. And then it goes from a 0 card 16 to a 1 card 16, still insane. Yeah, big blue decks are not really our problem for us. Uh, Overall, I think Nuu is really, really strong in this meta, able to disrupt people. It's a real shame I can't really build her IRL just because I don't have a job at the moment. But the second I do, I'll be buying all the cards for her because she's so fun. I'm really happy to have this proactive control back in the game that's been missing since Ice was gone. But yeah, I hope this helped. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I will 100% answer. And then, yeah, that's basically it. Overall game plan is just disrupt. A lot of the time you will win just by pure disruption and damage, but sometimes you have to go to full fatigue. It's a very adaptive game plan. You got to know what you got to be able to adapt to whatever hand you're given, which I know some people don't like. There's been some complaints and discords have been in of people wanting to always aggro or drawing a really dud hand after you fully disrupt someone. But I think that's just the assassin class, and it's a skill of good assassin players to be able to adapt to the hands they're given, as well as to adapt to what game plan, because your game plan is never set with this deck. You're trying to do different things in so many different matchups. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll be playing this deck non-stop on Talishar, and hopefully, when I can afford to, I'll get back to playing competitively, and I'll play this, and hopefully by then I have like a team to test against as well. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope this was helpful in some way. I'll see you all soon. Bye!